Welcome to the Baltimore Flockcast, the number one Ravens podcast in the world. Kyle Hamilton is the highest paid safety in the NFL. Man, it's definitely deserved. It came out today, so I guess by the time this comes out, it's going to be a day later. 4 years, $100 million, $82 million guaranteed. Absolutely well-deserved for Kyle Hamilton. And it definitely kills the narrative that people say, ooh, the Ravens don't pay their homegrown talent. I don't know where this is coming from. I guess we're just getting bored on Twitter because it's the off season. But it makes me happy because Kyle, in his press conference after he signed his contract, he said, as long as 8 is here, we have a chance at a ring. That goes exactly with what I've been saying over the past 8 episodes, that if Lamar Jackson's in Baltimore, anything is possible. And that's also going to bring over people and also keep people on the team as well. Sky's the limit. I think this is great that we get Hamilton locked up. It's only 4 years, which I guess is the only thing that I could be upset about. I'm not going to get upset about the tiny little details, though. We got the man extended. Of course, I would like for it to be longer, but, I understand. It's not like the old days where you can lock a guy up for 7 years, 8 years, and just expect that to be the norm. I guess it's kind of rough timing for Kyle because the man just got engaged. I'm not saying divorce is on the way, but man, gotta get your bag, dog. No, I'm just kidding. But I don't put the bad juju out there. But yeah, great for Kyle Hamilton, great for the team. Even making him the highest paid safety in the league, it still feels like we're underpaying because this dude's an absolute dog. All around win-win for the Ravens and for Kyle Hamilton. Excited to see what we can do all together, especially him being one of the leaders of our defense. Now we got that news out of the way. Let's talk about the 53-man roster is official. I'm very excited to see Rasheen Ali make the team because he was on the bubble. I know I was worried about that. But before we talk about Rasheen Ali a little bit, we also had 4 undrafted free agents make the team with Corey Bullock, Jay Higgins, Keenan Martin, and Ruben Lowry. That's kind of insane for a team of this caliber. But we didn't have a lot of holes, and to have that many undrafted free agents make the team really speaks volumes because it's not like we're just like a terrible team letting these guys on because we have massive needs. It was well deserved. EDC even said in a post conference with the undrafted free agents that he was upset that last year they didn't really have any guys undrafted free agent wise, and he really wanted to make that a primary focus for this offseason. And it definitely has paid off pretty well. Having that many guys make the team is unprecedented. With Rasheen Ali making the team again this year, I guess we'll go back to Rasheen real quick. It means we're keeping 4 guys on the 53 that are running backs. I can name everyone on the roster here in a second. Make it a little easier. But with Rasheen making the team, it's a big sign because Keaton Mitchell's more of the special teams guy. Yes, Rasheen's going to be mixed in as well. But it's not like it was a much needed thing to keep him for our special teams unit. This means that we actually see a future with Rasheen Ali. He's good enough to be on this team, and we see value in him, which makes me really happy because I was kind of worried. But Rasheen, he's the future of the Ravens backfield. I'm not saying he exactly is the guy, but he's a part of it. We'll announce the guys that made the team here. Only 2 quarterbacks, obviously. Didn't really expect that to be any different. We got Lamar Jackson and Cooper Rush. Not anything surprising. Makes sense. Devin Leary. Sorry, I can't get comfortable here. Devin Leary definitely did not think he was going to make the team. He looked awful in preseason, awful in training camp. I think I have the practice squad on here. I don't even think we put him on our practice squad. No, we did not. I wish you well, Devin Leary, in your future endeavors, but I think you probably should stop playing football. That sounded a little aggressive, but not a great player. Or use it as fuel to get better. Who knows? Running backs, as I said earlier, we're keeping 4. We got Derrick Henry, Rasheen Ali, Keaton Mitchell, and Justice Hill. And I guess you can throw in Pat Ricard in there. He's technically a back, I guess. Yeah, he's a fullback. No surprises here. I guess some people were expecting Rasheen Ali to be cut, but he's just too good to let go. I'm really excited to see what this group can do this year. Unfortunately, I think Justice Hill is going to really take a step back. Not in maybe skill-wise, but him just being on the field, we're not going to see him as much. It's going to be a lot more of Keaton Mitchell and Rasheen Ali back in Derrick Henry. And that's just my opinion. And I said on this podcast earlier, I'm definitely ageist with running backs. There's just a wall that most running backs hit when they turn 26, and they fall off tremendously. Receivers, we got Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, DeAndre Hopkins, Tylan Wallace, Tez Walker, and LaJohntay Wester. No surprises here at all. One thing I will have you guys remember is that LaJohntay Wester is a returner. Obviously, you're not going to bench Hopkins. You're not going to bench Bateman, Zay, or Wallace either, because he's also a guy that can return the ball. If you need to scratch someone for game day, a healthy scratch, it's probably going to be Devontae Walker, unfortunately, because he doesn't provide anything on special teams. I know Tez did a lot in the preseason, but I'm not really expecting to see Tez out there doing a whole lot, or even playing, really, unfortunately. Hopefully I'm wrong. I love Devontae Walker. Tight ends, no surprises here. Isaiah Likely, Charlie Kolar, and Mark Andrews. Oh, man. Sorry, it's been a long day. A little yawn. Offensive line. Got Tyler Linderbaum, Ben Cleveland, Corey Bullock, Joseph Noteboom, Roger Rosengarten, Carson Venison, Andrew Voorhees, Daniel Falele, and Ronnie Stanley. Unfortunately, Darian Dalcourt, the local kid, was cut. Did not really expect him to make the team. But, it is unfortunate. You really pull for these guys. Did he make the practice squad? Let me double check. I don't think he did. Yeah, he was not placed on the practice squad. That is unfortunate. Wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors, Darian. Move to the defensive line. We got John Jenkins, Nnamdi Madubuike. Sorry, I got the cat knocking on my water here, man. We got Nnamdi Madubuike, Anais Peebles. Man, how did I just mess up Peebles' name? That's my guy. We got Peebles, Broderick Washington Jr., Travis Jones. Kind of a slept-on unit, I will say. On to linebackers here, at least as the Ravens clarified them as. Roquan Smith, Trenton Simpson, Jake Hummel, special teams, God. Teddy Buchanan, Mike Green, huge fan. Jay Higgins, Kyle Van Noy, David Ajabo, Tavius Robinson, and Adafe Owe. Solid unit. Solid. Corners. Nate Wiggins, Chidobe Awuzie, best name in sports. Tell me I'm wrong. Jair Alexander, TJ Tampa, Keon Martin, and Marlon Humphrey. Then we move to safeties. We got Kyle Hamilton, Malachi Starks, Snoozy Kane, and Ruben Lowry. And to end it all, our special teams unit, obviously Tyler Luke, Jordan Stout, and our long snapper, Nick Moore. I guess some special things you could note here. We got a guy on IR, but designated for return. That's Adisa Isaac. Also on IR, but for non-football, Emory Jones. And then the PUP list, we have Darius Washington. Practice squad, I guess big news if you guys care. I feel like a lot of people do. Everyone cares about quarterbacks. But Snoop, Tyler Huntley is back, at least on our practice squad. So he's back with the Ravens. Makes me feel kind of good. We talked about on the last episode about this possibly happening. I'd rather have a guy like Bryce Perkins, but I'm really happy to have Snoop back in Baltimore. Anthony Miller, Keith Kirkwood, Marquise Robinson, D'Ernest Johnson, Love that he's on our P squad. Big fan of him. Was hoping he wouldn't just be a camp body. Very happy to see him stick around. Thomas Graham Jr., Keandre Jackson, Lucas Scott, which makes me really excited. I was a big Lucas Scott guy. He's a dude that came from sorry, this cat's just all over. I'm allergic to cats. Get out of here. Jesus. All right, Lucas Scott. He's from Army. He went to he was a Black Knight with the West Point. This was a guy. He didn't even play fullback in college. Pretty sure he was more of a tight end. Well, that probably didn't sound good on the mic. Sorry, I'm covering a cat here. Let me double check what position he played in college. I know he was all over. But we moved him to fullback when he came to the league. Obviously. What position? So he was recruited to play defensive line. And then he played tight end at Army. And then obviously we moved him to fullback. And I thought he was pretty solid in preseason. I thought he was pretty solid in training camp as well, at least from what I saw. And it's a really cool story, especially when a guy comes from a service academy. Always exciting to see that and be a fan. Who else? We got Chandler Martin. We got Kamon Rucker. Bringing back home the old Wiley vet. We have Brent Urban. We also have Malik Ham. I can never say his name right. I apologize. He's a good player too. Nick Sumack, lineman. Jared Penning. Jared Lichtenhan, apologize. Zaire Mitchell-Payton. This was another tight end. He was kind of solid in training camp. I'm pretty surprised that we added him to the P squad, but man, I'm a fan. Big fan. CJ Okoye as well to end it off. Solid list. Solid list of the guys on the P squad here. All right, the cat is messing with the mic now. He had a... Sorry. Not the mic, the light. I apologize for anyone on the video and audio. Really, all of the people watching and consuming. But yeah, that is the practice squad there. Pretty solid list. I know EDC said he expects to bring a outside person for quarterback. I think that was just Snoop. Sorry, I'm texting my girlfriend to get the cat because it keeps messing with the light. I think that was Snoop that we were talking about there. You got to get away. Sorry. I think that was Snoop that we were talking about, but if not, holding out hope for Bryce Perkins. All right. So, local bias, my friend brought this up. It's definitely been plaguing the Ravens media, and of course it's going to be there for the fan base, but media you'd expect to be a little bit better. I've just noticed this over the years, and my friend Aiden's really pointed it out, especially with Bo Braid. But he was saying that local bias is killing us. It's another undrafted free agent from Maryland. We get our hopes up. We overinflate how good they are. And then they ended up getting cut. This is a story as old as time. You got to remember, I'm not trying to diss on Maryland here, but Maryland's not a powerhouse for football. 9 times out of 10, we're getting an undrafted free agent from Maryland because they're not that good. You can't expect these guys to be game wreckers and earth shatterers when they're just dudes from Maryland. This is no diss to Bo Braid at all, but we really need to temper our expectations as a fan base here. So shout out to Aiden for bringing that one up. I do appreciate that one, but we just got to remember, University of Maryland is not Alabama. You cannot expect that much from a guy that wasn't drafted that played in Maryland. So I need to crack my back, man. Ooh. It's all this hate, because it's, well, I guess technically it's the start of Bills Hate Week, even though it's going to be more of a 2 weeks here. It really sucks that we have this week off until the regular season starts. I'm not a fan of that. But I guess you could say Bills Hate Week is on the horizon if it has not started today for you guys. I'm going to be honest. No more buffalo sauce until after we beat them. No more wings. Maybe you can make it acceptable if you're eating honey Old Bay wings. We're not consuming blue cheese, and I hope you guys stick with me. I know this is going to be this is a kids-friendly show. I almost said something I can't say, but not a fan of buffalo, at least right now. I was watching Hard Knocks just trying to get into it, and then I realized we're playing the Bills week 1. I'm not consuming this content. I want this to be the worst performing episode Hard Knocks has ever had. After we beat them, I'll watch it, of course. big big fan of the Bills fan base. At least when I went, I'm sure they're different now because they're better. I got to tell you, Mark Andrews, with we talked about it a few episodes ago. The way his comments are talking about how he dropped that catch against the Bills in the postseason last year, it's still on his mind. It really affected him, and it's not like a normal athlete where they're like, "Yeah, that happened. I'm just moving on. It's the next day." I'm not quoting him directly because I know check out the old episodes, but when he was asked about it in training camp or when we first came back for like, press conferences and stuff, he was saying, like, "Yeah, I'm really excited to play the Bills week 1. I remember what happened, and I want to do something about it." So going off that, guys, Mark Andrews is going to have a great game because the writing's on the wall. You have that. Also, Isaiah Likely's out, going to be out for a few weeks. Mark needs to step up, and he also has all the drunk people in Dundalk yelling at him as well, saying he's not a good tight end anymore. People with their purple camo. Mark, I'm not saying he needs to prove himself, but he wants to. I know he does, bro. You got to be. I know he's hungry. You can tell every time you see him in training camp on the side of the field for preseason. I think Mark Andrews is going to have at least a touchdown, maybe two. Huge game against the Bills, and it's going to be great. I'm really excited to see what Mark can do. I guess we'll call this one Revenge of the Flock. It's going to be great. But also, I can say we might have an MVP hangover from Josh Allen and the Bills. One, just winning the award and then the offseason having fun. But two, from what I remember, they present the award before the game. That's a lot on your mind, a lot of emotions, a lot of things to think about. Then you got to play a football game. Be a shame if that got you a little distracted and you lost. That's all I'm saying. Just putting that out there. Yeah, man. Sorry if you guys hear any noises. There's some painters outside with ladders, and it's quite loud. But I gotta say, when you look at our schedule, it is quite beautiful. This is just a quick side note. Every single week I look at it, it feels like every game is winnable. The Ravens have become like one of the best teams easily in the NFL. That I'm not saying we're going to go undefeated, but it is possible. It is a scenario that could happen. I'm not saying it's likely, but it's possible. We have one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, one of the greatest running backs of all time together with a really good defense. Sky's the limit. I just think it's great because I remember back in the day where I'm not saying who was quarterback. I'm not trying to stir up the old fan base here, but you would expect 10-6 every single year, 9-7. Not really much better. Max out at 11-5, 12-4 is not happening. And here, that's like just a given. Or I know we haven't gone undefeated or anything crazy like that, but you're expecting 13, 14 wins every single year. It's kind of cool. Hats off. And I'm sick of the rigged NFL talk as well. I always bring this up. If the NFL was rigged, why would Kansas City be the bell cow right now, be the dynasty? It is not a market that makes the NFL money. If anything, it's probably hurting the NFL that Kansas City is their top dog, top earner right now, winning all these rings. Think about this in this perspective. When you think about soccer, you think of big. I know it's different because they have dumb names like Arsenal and Chelsea. When you think of cities, at least you think of London, and then outside of that, most Americans probably don't know any other city in England. So if they're thinking about it here, they're not going to think of Kansas City right away. Same thing if you're thinking of the Premier League, you're not going to think of Wolverhampton. So obviously, the NFL is not rigged. And they're trying to bring up Taylor Swift too and saying how the NFL is rigged. You think they're going to do all this for Kansas City, Missouri? Come on. I wish the NFL was rigged, so that was a good reason to say why Lamar hasn't won a ring yet. But it's not. It's a terrible crutch. two more things. I guess I will ask you guys here. What games are you going to this year? Put it in the comments. I will let you know. I'm going to the Lions, the Bears, and the Steelers at the end of the year. And it was announced today the Lions game, Monday Night Football, it's going to be a blackout. They're wearing all black uniforms. And then the Thanksgiving game against the Bengals, which is at 8 o'clock as well, it's the Purple Rising uniforms with the alternate purple helmet. And I want to leave you guys with one quick departing thing to think about. I'm not saying this is likely, but I would love for it to happen. It's looking pretty likely that next year is Joe Flacco's last year in the NFL, being that he's in his 40s now. I don't think there is going to be many teams calling for him to be a starter. Not because I'm not trying to diss the guy, say he's a bad player, but he's getting up there in age. I think it would be poetic and it would be just perfect to bring in Flacco for one last ride, just to have him as our backup quarterback, and hopefully to get Flacco another ring with the Ravens and to get it with Lamar. That'd be sick. Have Flacco just hanging out on the bench, talking to the young guys, coaching people up, just as a player, coach, mentor kind of thing. Just something to think about. Hopefully we could have Flacco's last ride. But thank you guys for coming out to another episode. Like, subscribe, give 5 stars, whatever platform you're on. Thank you. We'll see you next time.